Hello everybody, my name is Dalton Nelson, and today I'd like to talk about some games that I have played for the past month, that month being the month of May 2026. This was a relatively uneventful month, or well, not necessarily uneventful month, but I didn't play many games this month. I was kind of busy and some things took some time, and I even kind of felt a little bit of lull in my wanting to play some games. So there's only 4 games that I'm going to be talking about for this month's video, but there are some good ones and there are some ones that I did not like so much. So let's get into it. The first game that I beat for this month is Yomawari Midnight Shadows. This is a game that I had actually played years ago. I have actually made a like a video review on this many years ago. This is the sequel to Yomawari Night Alone, which I actually played for the first time a couple months ago at this point. I remember that game being fun, and I remember that game reminding me of why I enjoyed Midnight Shadows so much. It is like a horror themed adventure taking place in rural Japan with these kind of puzzle like elements, as well as these kind of these Japanese specific folklore elements that I found really interesting, as well as just dark themes that it tackles. So I remember liking Night Alone. I remember some of the progression points being a little bit obtuse to the point where it felt like it was hard to intuit how to continue without a guide. And so now that since I had played that game, I wanted to replay Midnight Shadows to get my thoughts on it. And while I still generally enjoy this game as much as I did the last time I played it, there were a couple moments of this game where it felt like I don't know, it felt like to me, how do I describe it? I still enjoyed this game overall, and I do think it is a improvement over Night Alone. And I enjoyed this a lot more. I enjoyed the exploration and the progression, and I think even the story is pretty interesting in this game as well. I think the thing that got me the most about replaying this game in terms of like a negative aspect is that it does feel like they kind of course corrected from progression being obtuse to the game holding your hand just a little bit. Especially in the beginning of the game, there's a lot of, or at least I remember, because again, I played this game very early on in the month. I remember there being a lot of times where the game would kind of take away control to either like explain something or show something. And so I felt like overall, while I enjoyed this experience, it didn't feel very challenging to me. But if you were looking for a franchise that seems to be very creative when it comes to its horror and its setting and its tone and its themes, I would definitely recommend the Yomawari games. I've now played 2 of them. There's one more I need to play, the sequel to this, which is called, and I have it here on my PC. If it's called Night Alone, then I'm going to kick myself. Just one second. You'd think I'd be prepared. Uh, Lost in the Dark is the game that comes after this. So now I only have to play that, and I will have played all 3 games in the Yomawari franchise. But I would say, as for Midnight Shadows, I would still recommend it. I think it's still pretty good. Not as good as not like as great as I remember it being, but still a fun time and still something that goes beyond just being novel. Something that actually is extremely enjoyable and something that you should definitely seek out. So after I had played Yomawari Midnight Shadows, I had played Super Motherload. This is another sequel, this being a sequel to a browser-based game that I had actually played in college, or at least a game I think I played in college. I actually got to talk to my to one of my college professors this month, and I mentioned this game to him, or I mentioned Motherload to him, and he's like, "I don't remember what you're talking about at all." So I'm either I did not play this in college like I thought I did, or I played it under a different professor. But I swear to God, I played this as part of my game design curriculum that I took, or I played Motherload, and all these years later, I have now played the more, I guess you could call this kind of the premium version. Motherload you can play for free on the browser. This costs money on Steam, and I think this is the my favorite game that I played this month. Or well, technically, this is a new game that I played. So this is my favorite new game I played this month. Technically, I had 2 replays two games that were new to me this month. This is one of the ones that was new to me. So this was probably the one that I liked the most in terms of what was new to me. And if you don't know what Motherlode is, it is a digging game. Think very much in the same vein as like Dig Dug or Mr. Driller, where you are digging down underground, you're gaining resources, and then you're going back up and you're submitting those resources and you're spending that on upgrades. So it'll be like you can upgrade your gas capacity, or the amount of money you make, or how fast you move, or you can get special abilities that make you more invulnerable to certain hazards or things like that. Excuse me. Every time I want to do a video, I always have to like burp and stuff. I hate it. The thing that is probably the most significant addition to the Motherlode franchise here, if you will, from Motherlode to Super Motherlode, is that Super Motherlode does have a story, which is fine. It's not something to like write home about. It's basically this kind of conspiracy plot line where it's like, oh, what's happening, what's going on in the background, who's going against who's tricking you, whose side are you on. It's fine. It's not, again, nothing to write home about. It's kind of just like a nice little wrapper into the game you're playing. So if you enjoy games that get into resource collecting, if you enjoy games where you like to buy upgrades and kind of upgrade your abilities as you play through it, if you like games where monotony is kind of not monotony. Monotony is kind of derogatory. More so repetitiveness. If you like games that are repetitious and almost kind of therapeutic in its repetition, then I would say Super Motherlode is a fun game. As I said, all you do is kind of like dig down, get resources, go back up, and just kind of continue the cycle on and on. It almost becomes a point where you get so deep underground that it stops being about the repetition and starts becoming more about the efficiency of how you're getting supplies from the underground to the overground. And of course, there's little checkpoints along the way as well, so it never gets really annoying either. The only part of this game that I found kind of annoying is that for some reason the Super Motherlode developers thought that adding a final boss was a good idea. I don't really think this game needed it. I guess since this game is being sold for money, they wanted to put like a nice bow on the experience so it feels like you got your money's worth. But for me, I don't know, not a super big final boss guy in general in video games. I feel like final bosses are a real hard thing to get right sometimes. And this goes for a lot of video games, not just like small video games, but video games in general. And this is just kind of how I feel. So I felt like, for me, the final boss of this game didn't quite land. I didn't really enjoy it. But everything else up to that point, I did enjoy. So I would highly recommend Super Motherlode. I thought it was a good time, and it helped me kind of just relax and unwind after a day's work. So after that, I'd played another game. This was another replay, Penko Park, which I actually played for the first time last year. Penko Park is a game very much kind of like Pokemon Snap. And if you don't know what Pokemon Snap is, it was originally a Nintendo 64 game where you took pictures of Pokemon. You would go on this on-rails 3D experience, and you would use the mechanics of like a first-person shooter. You would point, and then you would press a button to fire, but instead of like firing a gun at an enemy, like say Doom, instead in Pokemon Snap, you would point a camera at a Pokemon, and then your fire button would take a picture. And then in-game, it would take a screenshot, basically, with this kind of camera overlay, or I don't think it would keep the camera overlay necessarily, but you would take a screenshot, and then the game would grade you on things like whether your Pokemon was in the middle of the screen, or how much of the screen it took up, or if it was covered in any way. And so Penko Park is very much carrying on a legacy of Pokemon Snap, and I think it's a very good entry in that regard. In fact, if you love Pokemon Snap, I'm pretty sure you will love Penko Park. It's got a lot of personality, got a lot of replay value. It's very charming. I just love everything about this game. I love how it looks. I love I love the soundscape. It's very kind of quiet and contemplative, but also at the same time very very engrossing as well. I love the worlds that the developers of this game created, and I want to shout out the developers too. Ghost Butter. Ghost Butter did an amazing job with this game. I think it's one of the best indie games you could probably get on Steam. It's extremely enjoyable, and I had a blast replaying this. So if you've not gotten your hands on Penko Park, I would highly recommend it, regardless of as if you've played the original Pokemon Snap or not, or there's a Pokemon Snap game on the Switch as well. But regardless of if you played those games or not, doesn't matter. Play Penko Park. It's right here on the screen. Play Penko Park. Highly enjoyable. Highly recommended. Love this game. Find it very fun. Find it very charming. Find it very well developed. Shout out to Ghostbuster. Ghost Butter. Amazing game. Seriously, support this. It's great. So after that, I had played one more game. My mouse on the screen the entire time. I apologize. Whee! After that, my final game that I had played this, I almost said this month, was Dead Space 2, which was a game that I was highly anticipating. I generally really love Dead Space 1. I find it a really good kind of spiritual follow-up to Resident Evil 4, which is one of my favorite games of all time. Dead Space 1, also a really fun kind of horror slash action game. I find its mechanics of chopping limbs off to be very unique and interesting, and the story is fun too in the original Dead Space. And I had last year played for the first time the Dead Space remake as well. So Dead Space, really enjoy it, really like it. And so I've had Dead Space 2 for a while now. I've just never gotten around to playing it until this month. So I was highly anticipating it, and I am very sad to say that I did not enjoy my time with it. I just want to kind of get some things out of the way here. First and foremost, I understand that Dead Space 2 is a fairly beloved game by this point. So when I say that I did not enjoy it, I meant like that this game didn't really click with me personally. What the Dead Space developers did, which is they're right on the tip of my head here, Visceral Games. What Visceral Games did here is they went in the more action-oriented version of Dead Space 1, where if Dead Space 1 is Resident Evil 4, Dead Space 2 is very much like your kind of Resident Evil 5-ish. I kind of want to back off on that comparison a little bit, just because Resident Evil 5 is very flawed in its own unique ways. I don't think it's... All I wanted to try and get across is that Dead Space 2 is a very action-oriented video game. That's what I kind of want to get across. Whereas I felt Dead Space 1, more exploratory. This game focuses more on the combat and getting into combat situations. And so I thought that as a start, I think Dead Space 2 starts really strong for me. And then as the game went on, I felt that some of the issues that I actually had with games like Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6 did kind of start popping up with Dead Space 2, mainly the fact that you still have limited ammo in Dead Space 2. So I found that a lot of times, especially in the late game, I would get into these rooms with tons and tons of enemies with very little ammunition and very little currency to even buy ammunition or keep up to stock. And so I felt like there was a lot of times in Dead Space 2 where I just felt kind of frustrated and kind of stuck in place until I could get past this section, and then I would get to a totally new section where I just get frustrated again. So I just, personally for me, I just don't think it's a game for me. I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think it does anything wrong per se. I just don't think, unfortunately, there's just going to be games you come across where you just don't get it, right? Everybody has those games where it's a game everybody loves, everybody sings the praises of, and then you play it, and then you just unfortunately do not like it. That's what I feel like has happened to me with Dead Space 2. I tried it, I gave it the best I could, I did finish it, and I unfortunately I didn't click with it. I didn't like it, and it it came off more frustrating to me than it did enjoyable. So I think that's a little bit unfortunate. Really did want to enjoy this game. Would I recommend it? I think you're asking the wrong person, personally. I think you should ask someone else who might get this game a little bit more. I think this is just unfortunately a piece of entertainment software that just completely passed me by and just did not gel with my specific tastes, I guess, or just my specific thought processes. So there you go, Dead Space 2. That was the fourth game I had played this month, which meant that it was the final game this month. So there you go. As I said, very quick video this for this recap. 4 games played this month. 4 games that I gave my best shot. 3 I would say I enjoyed. And then 1 I kind of wish I enjoyed a little bit more. But that does it for this month's video. So I hope that you guys liked that. If you like my content, of course, you can like or subscribe. I'm not monetizing anything, so you can do whatever you want. If you have opinions on what I've said on any of these games, there's a comment box below that you can engage with. Engagement. Other otherwise, you could hit the bell if you want to see videos and you want to know when I upload a video. I try to upload like 2 videos a month. A video like this, or like a random video on like a random topic that pops in my head in the middle of the month. So currently thinking of something for this month. Don't have an idea yet. But yeah, there you go. That's what I have to say at the end of the video. So thank you everybody who has watched and who is still watching, and I hope you all have a nice day.